my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. Recently, I did a tutorial on the Puffy Moss Stitch, and you guys really took to it and made all sorts of wonderful suggestions of what I should do with it. And so I thought, yes, while the iron is hot, let's strike, shall we? So I decided to make a top-down shawl using the stitch, and I love the results. And best of all, it is only a really simple 2-row repeat, and it works up pretty darn fast. And I love the results. Now, this could also probably be done as a bottom-up shawl, but I just love the sort of V shaping that happens with the variegated yarn. Absolutely love it. And so for this particular project, I used Lion Brand's Ice Cream Big Scoop yarn in the colorway of Cookies and Cream. Love this yarn, have used it many a time, and would like to also in the future. It is a weight of 3, it is over 1,000 yards, and it is acrylic. So the yardage is always a big thing for me, and also I love the gradient of the grayscale. So I didn't even use an entire skein of this. I wouldn't say that I made like a full-sized shawl. It's more of a shawlette, or, really nice neck scarf, nice and toasty-woasty, and I had this much left over. So we're going to be using this for today's tutorial, and I used a 5.5 size I crochet hook. You can, of course, use whatever works best for you. I'm just letting you know what I used in case if you want to try to duplicate the results. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right, so row 1, going to start off with our slip knot as per usual. And now, as far as how you can start this off, there are, of course, a number of ways. You can do the magic ring method. You can do a chaining of 4, slip stitch to the first chain to create a ring. However, I like this particular method for this particular project. Chain up 2, and then into that first chain, we're going to do our single crochet stitches. 5, in fact. So scooting right into there with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there you go. That is, believe it or not, that's it for row 1. And of course, you can cinch your tail, sew it in later. But yeah, that's it. It's just 5 little single crochets. And there you go, row 1. Okay, row 2. Row 2 is what I refer to as sort of an increase row. So we're going to start off by chaining up 2, turning the work, and for the increase rows, in the first stitch, we're going to do 2 puffs. So going in, pulling up a loop, yarn over, going into that same stitch, pulling up a loop, and then I'm going to pull through all 4 loops on the hook, chain 1 to lock it in. So we got 1 puff. Need another puff in the same stitch. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, go back in, pull up a loop, pull through all 4 loops, and that is your second puff. Chain 1 to lock it in. All right, and then going to skip a stitch, going into the third stitch with 3 puffs. Now this third stitch here is actually going to be the center spine. It will become more apparent as we go on. So skipping 1 stitch, going into the next, pull up a loop, yarn over, going into the same stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4 loops. So that's 1 puff, chain 1, going in again, pull up a loop, yarn over, going in, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1, 1 more puff in the same stitch. So going in, pulling up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4. So we've got 3 puffs right there. And then chain 1, going to skip the next stitch, and then going to the last stitch of the row, going to do another increase just like how we started with 2 puffs. So pulling up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1, going in again, pulling up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4. And that is row 2. Now, as you can see, this got rather stretched out. That's okay. You can cinch it up like a drawstring, and there you go. So to reiterate, it's the first and last stitch of the row, you get 2. The center spine, you get 3. It'll make more sense as we continue on. So that is row 2. Okay, so row 3, unlike row 2, row 3, we're not doing any increasing. It's just a puff stitch per puff stitch. So it's nice and straightforward. So start off by chaining up 2, turning the work, and then every time we have a puff stitch, we just do a little puff stitch. All right, so scooting in to that first stitch. There we go. Pull up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1 to lock it in, then going into the next one, pulling up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, and then pull through all 4. Now, something that I probably should have said earlier, but I'm going to say it now, is that we're not going into the chain space in between. We're going into the actual stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on keeping on. So I'm going to chain 1 to lock that puff in, and then we're going to do a puff in each puff. So scooting right into that next stitch right there, pull up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1, going into the next. Scooting on in there, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pulling up another loop, pull through all 4, chain 1, next one, pull up a loop, yarn over, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1. We've got 2 more to go. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1, last stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, and then pull through all 4. There we go. Now, what I found is that with this particular pattern, this design, is that if you were to do the increasing every row, it would distort the piece. However, by increasing every other row, it creates sort of an equilibrium of sorts, you know, a give and a take, a give and a take, and it really seems to work out. So, that being said, let's do a couple of rows together. You know, I like to be thorough and I like spending time with you guys, so let's do a couple more rows together, shall we? Okay. Okay, so for rows 4 and 5, we're essentially doing the same thing that we've already done, but, you know, let's just press on, shall we? So row 4, going to, again, start by chaining up 2 and turning the work. Now you can see down here that we did an increase row. This row was not an increase row, so this next row, it's an even row. We need to do an increase row. So into the first stitch, 2 puffs. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through all 4, chain 1, going into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, going in again, pulling up a loop, pull through all 4. So we got 2 puffs in the first stitch, chain 1, and for the next 2 stitches, we're just going to do regular puffs. It's at the center spine. That's where we're going to do another increase. Now, what you could do is you could put a little stitch marker or a little scrap of yarn there to remind you. So I'm going to carry on by going into the next stitch with a puff, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1, and then as you can see, this is the center spine. It does look a little bit offset, but actually it is the center spine stitch. That's why I suggest maybe you might want to do a stitch marker or something like that, because it can be a little bit confusing at first. But I'm going to go right in with my 3 puffs. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. 2 more to go. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. 1 more. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, and there we go. We got our 3 puffs right in there. Then chain 1. Into the next 2 stitches, we're just doing regular puffs. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. Then in the last stitch, we need to do the increase. So it's 2 puffs. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. Same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4. And that is row 4. So you can see it is maintaining a nice triangular shape. It's not, going into a crescent or something, abnormal. No, it's a regular triangle shape. All right, let's do a row 5 together. Okay, so row 5, no increases. It's just a puff per puff. So chain up 2, turn the work, and then just in every puff stitch, do a little puff stitch. So pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1, next puff. Repeat the process. Lather, rinse, repeat. So I pulled up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the 4, chain 1, and so on and so forth. And for this row, you don't need to worry about where exactly the center spine is, because it's just every stitch gets the same treatment, no matter where it is. So this is definitely a great project if you want to just sort of get lost in a project, not have to worry too terribly much about anything, and just essentially go on autopilot, which is always a good thing from time to time. It's nice to be able to create something fabulous and not have to agonize over a particular pattern. So I'm just scooting right along. Now, a while back, I had done a regular moss stitch shawl. That was a top down as well. And that one, the increase was every row, not every other row. And you know what? I'm going to put a link to that in the description box. But yeah, I found that this every other row works out better. So I've just got 2 more stitches to go. And then we will be done with row 5. And there you go. Excuse me. My voice is having issues today. All right, so there you are. Now, just for, because of the heck of it, let's do 2 more rows so that you can, really get the full Shazam, all right? Let's just do 2 more. All righty. All right, so row 4 for the repeat. It's going to be an increase row. So you can see down here that we did an increase because you got those 2 puffs in the same stitch. Up here, it's just stitch, stitch, stitch. So if you ever put down your work and you forget, what did I just do last row? If you look closely, you can see that you have these 2 stitches stemming out of the 1, and then you just got 1, 1, 1. Just look closely and you can see. So I'm going to chain up 2, turn the work, first stitch, 2 puffs. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. Same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. And then we're just going to scoot along until we reach the center spine, 1 puff per puff. Really that easy. And depending upon your choice of colorway, can end up with some really cool effects. Personally, I really like the cookies and cream because it's rather subdued and muted, and, well, I like that. All right, so as you can see, we are in line with the center spine. So going right in, going to do 3 puffs. Pulling up a loop, yarn over, pulling up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 4, chain 1. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the 4. So we got our 3 puffs right there. And then going to work our way down this side until we reach the very end where we're going to do yet another increase. So let me just chain 1 to lock that in. And then we'll scoot our way down this side. And you sort of get a feel and a rhythm for the stitch after a while, because it's not quite a single, it's not quite a half double, it's sort of like a half double with a little bit of extra protein, if you will. Chain 1, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the 4, chain 1, and then 2 puffs in this last stitch right here. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the 4, chain 1. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through the 4. And that is it for row 4 for the repeat. And let's move on to the pièce de résistance repeat of row 5. Okay, so row 5 for the repeat. I just want to do this for stuff and giggles. Chaining up 2, turning the work, and then into every puff, we're just going to be doing a puff. It is as easy as that. So it's like every other row, you get a little mini vacation, you know? It's just a total autopilot kind of thing. And in this helter-skelter world, sometimes it's nice to be able to, well, essentially zone out while being productive and creative at the same time. You know, you could call it mindless, you could call it mindful. I think it's kind of a pleasant mixture of the two. Sort of like having a cup of tea with honey and lemon, you know? And so just going to work my way across this row, just doing a puff for every puff. Now, as far as what row to end with, whether it's a row 4 or a row 5, I would say, honestly, dealer's choice. Totally up to you. I really don't think that it makes any structural difference. Perhaps a little bit of a difference aesthetically, but the pattern itself is fairly busy. So, as my grandmother would say, a man riding by on horseback would not know the difference. I'm paraphrasing. All right, just 2 more to go. And there you are. And then, so when you are ready to finish, just snip your yarn, pull out your loop, sew in your ends, and voila. You have a lovely piece. What I really like about this is that if you were to do, say, the entire thing in like single crochet stitches, it would be very stiff. You know, this, however, because of those chain 1 spaces and so forth, it has some really nice drape to it. It is not very stiff or rigid or, you know, wanting to curl up. You know, if you did some other really tightly woven stitches, you know, this I rather like. Yeah, and I hope you guys do too. So there you go. That is the repeat of row 5. Okie dokie. So that's going to conclude today's tutorial on the Puffy Moss Stitch shawl. Just keep repeating rows 4 and 5 until your piece is big enough, and shaboom, you're all set. If you liked today's video, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. I post about 3 times a week on this channel and about daily on my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games, where I do video game playthroughs and commentary. Link in the description box down below, along with a link on the initial tutorial that I did on this stitch, as well as the regular moss stitch top-down shawl and a bottom-up variation. So, all that being said, I hope that you liked it today, and until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please, stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.